Hello, welcome to the finance function, the Innov8 Technology Podcast, where finance technology meets real world business. I'm Mike Armstrong, part of the team here at Innov8. We work with businesses across the UK and Ireland, helping them get more from their systems. Today, I am delighted to be joined by fellow teamie from Innov8, Gemma Rowley.
Thanks for inviting me. It's exciting.
It is. And today we're going to be talking about what good finance really looks like. Maybe a good starting point before we get into that is a bit about you, your role within Innov8, and maybe to share the fact that this is coming from an expert opinion.
Yeah, so I have been with Innov8 for just around 8 years now. So I look after the sales and marketing function. So my role has, I guess, over the years, combined with new business and account management, has led me to looking after the sales and marketing team. But prior to that, had a lot of experience going into businesses, understanding what it is that they need to do to make their finance function operate in the best possible way for the organisation. So over the years, I've been doing that, been with a Sage partner channel for around 24 years now. Probably the bit that I enjoyed most about going and visiting customers was looking at what they're trying to do to make their organisation run more efficiently. So yeah, that's a little bit of a snapshot of me.
We speak to a lot of customers week to week, day to day. They've all got different challenges. They're all in different industries a lot of the time, but there has got to be some common trends and some common things that come across. So maybe casting your mind back to when you were going out and sitting in front of customers, but also what we hear from the team today.
Yeah.
What are some of those common challenges?
So yeah, like you say, obviously we do operate across a lot of industries, but the common challenges are reporting and how to look at that data. Data is key. We've been doing a big project internally, working with a lot of data, and you realise the importance of being able to get at that data to produce meaningful numbers and reports, and making it easy so that you're not having to go through lots of spreadsheets. We live in an age now where we want things immediately, we want things fast, and we want to have confidence in that data. For me, that key challenge that I would say nearly everybody faces that we go into is the data, is the reporting, and things that are around wanting to speed up processes, particularly around the finance element. One big thing that we always get talked about is how long it takes for people to close month end. It's a common pain area across, I would say, all organisations that have either legacy systems, older systems, multiple systems within the business, whether that's because they've grown quickly or grown over acquisitions, and that there's a lot of incumbent solutions sitting around the business.
So data is one part of it. I think, it's a massive part of it. I would always describe it as the lifeblood of a business. But then there's also kind of all the features, the functionalities. Obviously, we as a Sage business partner and a Sage tech partner deal very specifically with Sage. There's a lot of features and functions as well out there that maybe make some solutions, let's talk Sage Intacct, let's talk Sage 200, let's talk Sage 50. Features and functionality that maybe does make someone's life a little bit easier, as you said before, maybe in those processes and speeding up those processes. What does the latest functionality exist, within these systems to help people kind of, get at the data, but actually ultimately just do their job?
As with everything that is going on in technology at the moment, AI is just a huge piece around Sage.
I have to stop you there, Gemma, because I had it within about 3 minutes before we would mention AI. I think we may be just over that mark, but no, go on, as you were saying.
I can't believe it's took that long, to be fair. I think I probably talk about AI more every day than I talk about most things, but yeah, it's big, huge area for Sage, and not just Sage, around a lot of our partners, as you mentioned before. A lot of the Microsoft solutions as well is very AI driven. So these are all things that are helping not just individuals, but organizations as a whole speed up their processes on a day-to-day basis. I use AI an awful lot if I'm trying to pull information together and I need some help in Excel. I'm not the best user of Excel. General information that we're trying to bring together for the business. So it's definitely going to be the lifeblood of most solutions moving forward. It
interacts with data really well in that respect as well, doesn't it? So,
yeah.
That regardless of it being able to produce videos and pictures and all that kind of thing, actually it's really good at looking at data, looking at patterns, looking at trends. So I guess one of the things we're saying is actually what does good looking finance right now, and it's been able to leverage AI. So there's a lot of businesses out there that will be looking at their finance system and they'll either be really happy with what they've got, or sometimes it's maybe that fear of not knowing what the future is, or the fear of change, or even, I dare say, a bit of naivety of well, this is working okay, but actually don't know what even better if looks like, and got systems, workarounds, processes in place that actually a modern solution can really adapt. Like you mentioned, you've been in the Sage partner channel for, I dare say, a little while.
Obviously I don't look like I do.
Obviously, but we're thinking about this kind of stuff, how the systems have evolved and changed so much in the last probably even 5 years, dare say even 10 years.
Yeah.
So what does good look like now then, for people looking at the market, or even maybe where they made some investment 5 years ago? What are they missing out on now?
Good looks like being able to produce the right numbers, have visibility, getting business insights. That I guess is what good looks like, and people can do that with the systems they've got. It's not beyond possibility. It might require some additions, or certainly looking how we can help that, whether that's facilitating with some ISVs. So it's not that they're not on the right systems, it's just getting it to the right point. And that's where people can lean on us as an organization to say what's the best way to do this, how do we get this right. And if it is changing systems up, and it is these things are non-negotiables, and they absolutely have to look at putting something different in, then we can help with those types of things as well. But I think it's making sure that people are thinking about what good looks like as well. So it's so easy that when you're doing that day-to-day transacting, and you've got things to get out, you've got time constraints, you are focused on doing what it is worthwhile sitting down with your account manager and planning out what you want good to look like. So it might not be right now, but it is looking at the future and thinking, well, it's taking X amount of time for us to be able to close month-end books. What is it that we can do to speed those things up? And leaning on us as that trusted provider to start helping you plan those things moving forward, so that we can get from good to absolutely brilliant. From a brilliant perspective, that's where you then start seeing things like one source of the truth, automation, so you're not having to repeat those monthly tasks or those daily tasks that can be laborious and can be automated. Making sure that the data is consistent and clean, and just having that real-time visibility. That's all the things that we are here to provide for our customers.
It's interesting when you start looking at understanding where an individual customer's at. As we've already said, that could be different site to site.
Everyone's always at different junctions in their journey. Not everybody's at the same point, and it's making sure that you've got the right framework, the right foundations to build on, to make sure you're getting the best output.
I think that's a really interesting point for us to talk about. Myself and yourself, we were on a call with Sage earlier on in the week, and there's now a bit of a tipping point internally for Sage, at least anyway, where they shared that 55% of what they're doing within the UK and Ireland market is now Sage Intacct, where historically that's been very heavily Sage 50 and I dare say Sage 200. So where there's that tipping point and we're looking at what's right for businesses, where do platforms like Sage Intacct come in, not only just to change the game, but also where Sage 200 might be still a really good fit for companies. It's not to dismiss that Sage 200 is of the past, but actually Sage Intacct is more of the future, but isn't necessarily right all the time.
Yeah, and it's a question we get asked probably, I'd say daily, especially when we're in those new business scenarios and with existing customers. We have a very large Sage 200 base, and it's serviced extremely well. We've got lots of verticals within our kit bag, if you like, that fit with Sage 200, and it's definitely just a very strong product. And operationally, it's out there for heavy stock, order processing, distribution companies, and there is still very much a need for Sage 200. Businesses that need robust operational systems, Sage 200 is still a great fit. I think where Sage Intacct probably changes the game is it's built for finance teams. It's built for speed. It's built for companies that are growing and growing quickly. Intacct being a cloud solution means those updates are rolled out every quarter. So that's obviously very different to a traditional on-premise solution like Sage 200, where you still got that physical upgrade to have to go through. But yeah, Intacct is the game changer for things like consolidation, the reporting that we really honed in on before, things like multi-entities or multi-site reporting, where you want to be able to break down those entities but see them from a top level, and then being able to drill down. We know that Sage 200 doesn't have that concept of being able to drill down without having to manipulate the data in Excel or in a reporting tool. And I think a lot of the steer that we get around Intacct from our prospects and from our existing customers is when they're facing those challenges. They've got multi-entities and they need that consolidation piece. They want the scalability, and a big massive push point for a lot of these are people that want the easy integration. So we've gone right back to that best of breed. So because I've probably been in the channel quite a long time, I've seen that sort of flip on its head. So I can remember a time where Sage, or Sage MMS as it was then, was wanted to be all and everything, and everything was in that system. And there would be a lot of bespoke, a lot of development of solutions that integrated inherently into Sage 200. So it looks like you're using those solutions from within 200, where Intacct flipped it on its head and said, absolutely fantastic cloud finance solution, but there are areas outside it where you might need to go and find alternative systems that integrate into the finance function.
Yeah, for my sins, I spend a lot of time trawling through Sage collateral and looking at different things, and the way I would summarize what you've kind of said is Sage 200 is that business management. It covers the operational side of things, it covers the finances to a greater or lesser extent that is good for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then Sage Intacct, it is framed as finance software, not business software. And if you want to go looking for other aspects that integrates really well and really strongly, whereas obviously Sage 200 is that it is a growth platform for business that maybe have some more operational demands or actually want that one size fits most kind of approach. And that you can bespoke it and do some of those kind of things. And even so, we're seeing it more and more so these days, have to access it in a hosted way, which means that it still kind of to the end user looks and feels like it's a cloud-based solution which you're logging into online, but actually it's just sat on a server somewhere else, just not in your own building as such.
Yeah, and obviously that that gets around all the like disaster recovery type scenarios, so you're not relying on that being in your organization or relying on somebody doing those backups. It makes it into a modern platform.
So I guess that maybe is what good looks like in different in different places, in different spaces. I guess one of the things that we're there kind of touched on is things like integrations, and it's the way of the world these days that everyone wants everything to integrate nicely. I think we look at what we do in our personal lives with having even something as simple as having your Google Mail email on your Apple iPhone and then being able to access that on your computer. Like, it's just a given and a normal. So we spoke earlier on that kind of looked at some data projects internally and pulling that data together. What are those reporting tools, those integration things, like, that people can be looking at, either to really accelerate what they're doing with their existing solution to make the most out of it, or actually pivot a little bit with what they're doing to actually embrace change?
Yeah, so obviously from like a Sage 200 perspective, we partner with Focus, and from like a reporting and dashboard solution, it's second to none. We have seen a really big uptake with our existing Sage 200 base of people implementing Focus. And I guess that the key benefit around that is it not only looks at the Sage 200 data and puts that into dashboards, like I mentioned, that are predefined, but also it can look at other solutions that those customers may have in their organization, and allows them to bring that data together, because we know that as good as Sage 200 is, a lot of that data is dealt with outside of the system. It's manual. It's looking at it, picking it apart, and piecing it back together. Is taken away with Focus that can do all that and more. And then if we then talk about sort of the integration piece, there's a few partners, and we have something in-house as well that allows us to do that integration piece. And the integration piece for a lot of our customers is what has freed up that time that I talked about before. Spent all that time rekeying in information, whether that's integration to websites, order platforms, etc., and bringing that in and automating that into Sage 200. If we look at the flip side, I did touch on it earlier on, but things like Sage Intacct, that sort of is inherent in the system. So a lot of that stuff is standard. But yeah, certainly from a Sage 200 perspective, we have got such great relationships with these key partners, and I've got some fantastic referenceability about where customers have really seen a big ROI, because I don't think until you start delving into that data and thinking about how much time you're spending manually trying to piece it all together, I think people will be surprised about how much time it actually takes.
I think it's coming back to that data and speed, isn't it? The big two takeaways, I think. So if someone is listening to this thinking now, that sounds like us, we maybe have some of those challenges, or we can attest to some of that want, need, desire to change. Like, what are the practical steps, and also what could somebody do also right now to actually make a change in their business tomorrow, rather than having to wait a new system or implement some change? Like, what are some of those actionables?
Just start talking to us, get in touch with your account manager, chat to them, have a conversation about the pain points that you're facing. Some customers don't want to do it because they don't maybe want to admit that they can't get the data out, or they just don't have the time. It's all very well when you're trying to do day-to-day things and you've got all these things building up in the background and you think you'll get round to it. That never happens. So speak to the account manager, have a chat about what's possible. Let us get you in front of these partners. There's no commitment at that point, but let's show you what is possible. We can talk to you about what the customers have got out of those systems. And I think for us, we put a lot of time and effort into being proactive. So we have a monthly insight session where we will show these solutions. It's 45 minutes, an hour webinar to sit through, have a look at these solutions, chat to the people that are presenting it. If that's something that you think is going to work, get a one-to-one set up with them, and have those conversations about what the outcomes could be, what potential return on investment you're going to get. It's a real big push for the account management team, is to start really underpinning that planning process with customers, because it's becoming more and more important with IT and with solutions that organisations actually put a proper plan together about what that looks like for the future for them. We want to take your systems seriously. You know, we know how important it is. We know what people should be budgeting for IT solutions. We can sit through and talk that through with you. You know, this, lean on us. This is our expertise. We don't expect you to be the expert in it. That's what we're here for.
It's an important distinction, isn't it? Because it's not about being transactional of I've got a problem, I need to solve it and buy something. It's a relationship, it's strategic, it's this is where we want to be in 3 to 5 years. This is whatever it looks like. I think it's that building our internal understanding of a customer's environment. I think it's fair to say that sometimes we have customers where we've implemented solutions many years ago and they've grown and changed significantly, and we're still thinking about that customer, what they were many years ago, rather than actually where they are today and where they need to be tomorrow. As you say, having the conversation, it's strategic, it is a collective approach, it's partnership at that point rather than it being transactional. And there's so much out there that if they went to try and effectively educate themselves around other things, you could get lost really quickly. And I think having expertise of people that literally do it day to day, week to week, know the marketplace. We unfortunately see some customers almost feel like they're taking an easy option that is actually a backward step for them without actually understanding the full picture.
And we do see so much of that because, like you say, they'll go out and investigate things themselves, which, you know, for all intents and purposes, fantastic. But what we're saying is you don't need to. Exactly what you've said there. And we had, you know, I think it's important to talk about. We're obviously talking a lot here about finance and Sage, but we had the sales team had a really good session yesterday about the benefits of moving from 365 standard to premium. The guy that presented the solution and did the training, he was so engaging and he made it easy to understand, because it can be even for the people that know what we're doing in it every day, but still they can end up baffling. But the guy really broke it down and made it clear to the benefits of why people should migrate from M365 standard to premium, but all the additional benefits they get, and not just around like quick wins. It was around like real big things around security for your organization. It's just let us do the hard work. We sit on lots of these sessions. You know, it's ever changing landscape. Something's different every single month. It's happening all the time. As we speak now, Mike, I've just had an email pop up from another one of our partners who's telling me to look at the new roadmap for the new features and benefits. You know, so it's just an ever-changing landscape. So our customers have got their day-to-day job to do. This is our day-to-day job. Let us take that headache away. Let us tell you what's new, what's beneficial for your organization. It's not about trying to just keep selling stuff. It's seriously about what's going to benefit the customer, what's going to make their life easier, you know, what's going to keep them secure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're having this conversation with people we've already got a relationship with. You know, I know your approach with the wider team is to kind of talk to them and say, get out in front of your customers and speak to them about these challenges. And I guess this is the plea the other way to say to somebody listening, saying, you know, if you're not having that conversation, pick up the conversation, because it's almost it feels like a bit of a responsibility from us to say, you know, there is a way in which we can help guide and steer that thought process and build the relationship so that it is a collaborative effort to further in their business, because what is good for, you know, what's good business for them is also really good business for us. And it's a, you know, a strategic thought of, let's put that in the diary for 12 months time to take some action on, and then it's something to work towards, rather than everything being super reactive. And of course, you know, things happen in businesses which you need to be reactive to, but it's taking that proactive approach to it.
Knowing that plan, isn't it? And I think we've just had our sales kickoff, and Carl actually did a session and described it perfectly, that every customer has a set of clocks, for their solutions, whether it's things becoming end of life or whether things like, you know, you're not covered on or not supported. All those clocks are constantly going off at different times, and it's our job to manage that so that the customer knows when that clock's going to go off.
Yeah, it could be something as simple as a new starter into a business, you know.
Yeah.
Somebody new coming in, doesn't know your systems, doesn't know your solution, but actually it's okay, well, how can we help onboard somebody through the systems that are in place already? So yeah, no, I mean that's been super insightful, Gemma. Was there anything else kind of just to finish off?
In terms of maybe some takeaways, is just start thinking about what good does look like. Start having that thought process, even if it's just jotting a few ideas down about things that do take the time, things that you might be doing outside of the system, just so it's almost like in the memory bank when the account manager starts, you have a meeting with them or you speak to them, just so you can maybe just say, you know, I'm having this real problem around this. Because I guess when we're, you know, we come out and we're starting to question and start to talk about things, these things don't always spring to mind. It's only afterwards. So I guess, yeah, it's just start thinking and having that thought process.
I think that's a great bit of advice, is, you know, even just writing something down simply that just gives you perspective, you know, to reflect back on, and then you can, you know, at least you know, it starts to become an email that you can send in, or it starts to be a conversation starter, and you never know where those conversations end up. That is it for today's episode of the Finance Function. Thank you to you for listening. Thanks again for Gemma for joining us. If you have enjoyed today's conversation, please make sure that you follow and subscribe so you don't miss out on what's coming next, because we've got some big plans for the podcast. Hopefully it's giving you a bit of a clearer picture of what good in finance really looks like. And until next time, keep moving further faster. Do you have to do that bit again? You were so serious. You're like, oh, sorry, am I, you know. Oh, good job. This is going in the edit.
Oh, man. I see, I told you I've been rubbish at this.